Hey guys, so I have some awesome news for you, and without further ado, let's get started. Hey guys, Nour here and welcome back to my channel. For those visiting for the first time, hello! I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel because I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. So I have some huge news for you. Specifically, I have two news for you. The first involves changes to my Patreon that I think you'll really love, and the second involves my YouTube channel and how it's going to look like in the next year. Both Patreon and YouTube channel changes are a little bit tied together, so I'm going to start with Patreon. That way you have an idea of what I'm talking about before I discuss the changes with my YouTube channel. So be sure to stick around till the end so you can know exactly what to expect from my channel in the coming year. So let's start with the news I'm most excited to share. So when it comes to Patreon, my $20 tier wasn't really getting a lot of engagement, and I wanted to create something that brings you more value. So I decided to change it up a bit. And this change allows you to play a role in my channel. Yep, I'm talking about this channel. You could be a part of it with my $20 tier on Patreon. Here's what that looks like. When you support me on Patreon with the $20 tier, you could send me a roughly 30-second audio clip asking me a writing related question. Then I will include your audio clip in a future video and answer your question along with other questions I've received in this tier. And in the audio clip, feel free to briefly introduce yourself and maybe mention your latest work in progress or published novel. This can look something like, hey, I'm Nour and my published novel is Divinity Falling, and my question to you is, and then you ask your question. If you don't want to include any information about yourself or your writing, that's okay too. You could simply ask your question. Here are some examples of questions you could ask me. How do I create tension in family relationships? Is my character boring? What do you think of the opening line of my book? How can I get more writing done? What do I do if I no longer like my story? Literally, ask me any writing related question you want. In this $20 tier, you could ask me 2 questions per month. But if there aren't that many patrons in this tier during a particular month, I might ask you to submit more questions. On the other hand, if this tier garners a lot of patrons, then I might limit the questions to 1 per person per month. That way everyone has the opportunity to ask me a question. And again, this is a great way for you to be part of my channel. By sending me your audio clip questions, you could participate in this channel and even put your name out there. Now, of course, this isn't the only perk of the $20 tier. When you pledge $20, you get all the perks from all the previous tiers. That means you get early access to my YouTube videos, you get weekly writing exercises, you get a name shout out on my channel, and more. If you would like to support me over on Patreon, whether that's $1 or $20, I really appreciate you. Every little bit helps because that means I get to do what I love most, which is share writing advice videos with you and increase the quality of my videos. With your support, I can dedicate more time to creating quality topics and videos. And my goal is to always bring you more value, so any little bit is really appreciated. If you do decide to support me with $20 over on Patreon, then I'm really excited to get to know you better and answer all your questions. Oh, and before I forget, let me mention our next Patreon goal. So we recently reached our Patreon goal of $150, and that means that I got to do a contest. And the winner of the contest over on Patreon received a signed copy of my book as well as a t-shirt from my merch store. And now we have a new Patreon goal. Our next goal is to reach $200. And we're very close. We're currently at $158. Here's what my patrons can expect when we finally hit our $200 goal. Once this goal is met, I will create another Patreon contest, and the winner will be able to send me the first 3 chapters of their book for me to beta read. I will then create a detailed report of what I liked and didn't like about their 3 chapters. So if you would like a chance for me to beta read your first 3 chapters, then be sure to support me over on Patreon and participate in this contest once we reach our $200 goal. Okay, so now that we're all caught up on Patreon, let's discuss the changes coming to this channel in the upcoming year. So starting in January 2023, my channel is going to look a little bit different. I'll still be sharing writing advice videos, but I'll only be posting a video every other week. There are several reasons for my decision to do this. Part of it is just my own mental well-being. There are a lot of things going on in my life, a lot of changes, a lot of work. There's also one big reason I'm doing this, but it's also too early to discuss what this reason is. Maybe in the next few months or even in a year, I'll discuss what that reason is. But right now, it's not really concrete, so I can't really talk about it. But once it's concrete, I'll discuss it with you guys, and then you'll know why, or partially why I'm doing this video schedule. Now, will this new schedule drag on to 2 years? And the answer is, I don't know. It might not. Again, it depends on, you know, my personal life, my plans, my projects, how busy I am, what's going on at the time. If I feel like this schedule just works better for me, then I might make it long term. But for now, it's just for the first year and we'll see what happens. Now, how does this tie with the $20 tier over on Patreon? If I'm filming every other week, what happens to the Q&A video that I will be making specifically to answer questions I receive over on Patreon in my $20 tier? Well, those videos will be in addition to my every other week video. So basically, if I do receive audio questions from that $20 tier, I will be using that to create a third video that month. And of course, you can still expect my videos on the same time on Wednesdays, which is at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll just be every other week in addition to a third video where I answer your questions if you submitted anything to me in my $20 tier over on Patreon. So those are all the changes I'm bringing to this channel and Patreon. I hope you think they're awesome. And again, if you would like to support me over on Patreon, I would really appreciate it. I'd love to know, what do you think of my channel changes for next year? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe because I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. And before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frain, Alan J. Early, and Noah Kovanti from my shout out tier over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate you. And remember, Nour for president.